Rouse's Markets is voted best grocery store in New Orleans, best grocery store in Baton Rouge, Mississippi, Gulf Coast, Thibodeau, Houma, Hammond, Lake Charles, Mobile, year after year. Thank you for choosing us best grocery store on the Gulf Coast. Number one. Thank you.
Thank you.
The number one grocery store
In Mississippi, Alabama,
Louisiana. 1 million customers a week can't be wrong. Welcome to Rouse's.
Hello and welcome to this edition of Bayou Time. I'm your host, Keith Weissite, licensed clinical social worker with Terrebonne Home Care. Very glad you're joining us. However you may be joining us, we appreciate it very, very much. And you know what? It's getting to be about Thanksgiving time. And you may be wondering, how am I going to do this? What am I going to do? What are my options? Well, the best way to do that is to invite in one of our favorite dietitians from Rouse's. Hello, April Sins.
Hello, Keith. How are you?
I am very, very well. But you know what? As a big guy trying to figure out if I want to cook or if I want somebody else to cook, I have lots of thoughts about what I want to do for this Thanksgiving. But thank goodness Rouse's has lots of options for us.
Rouse's absolutely has lots of options for you, whether you are looking for more of the catered aspect where
Right.
you want to get your turkey and you want to have everything made for you. Rouse's definitely can be that solution for you. You also can look at maybe just some easy options that are just like heat and eat type of options at Rouse's as well.
Yeah. And so there's lots of different things, but if people want to cook at home, they really want to make sure that they're preparing their food well and making sure that they're keeping it safe. What are maybe some safety ideas that we need to think about for cleanliness for our vegetables or our meats at home?
Well, for one thing, Keith, a lot of people are focused around the turkey right now. So you want to make sure that you are thawing your turkey thoughtfully. And
Okay.
whenever I say thawing it thoughtfully, I'm referring to making sure that you're preparing ahead. So depending on the size of your turkey, and you can see that graphic up there, that depends on how many days it's going to take to thaw out your turkey. Now, the safest way to thaw your turkey is going to be to put it in the refrigerator on a low shelf and maybe even put it on a pan in case some of those juices tend to leak out of the packaging. You want to make sure that you give yourself enough time to thaw out that turkey ahead of when you want to prepare it. So just make sure that you follow that guide that's right up on there as far as how many days and how many pounds your turkey is.
Yeah, and it's awfully important, especially we've talked a little bit about this. Those people that really, no matter where you are, you may want to fry a turkey. It is incredibly important to make sure that the turkey is completely thawed before you fry a turkey.
Yes, and you want to make sure that you are using a thermometer whenever you're cooking as well. You want to make sure that you're cooking your turkey to the recommended temperature and using those thermometers and making sure that it's cooked all the way through. Another thing, too, is the temperature does vary. Some people like to do stuffing in their turkey, and it does vary depending on if you have the stuffing in the turkey or if you do not have a stuffing in the turkey. So just keep those things in consideration to make sure that you're cooking not only a delicious meal, but also a safe meal.
Yeah, and one of those things that we talked about, we expect it. We're going to eat really well down here in South Louisiana. Rouse's has so many options for if you want to do that traditional Thanksgiving meal, if you want to do the turkey and the ham and the stuffings and those kinds of things, Rouse's has everything that you need. Or if you want to do something a little differently, I will tell you, for me, pork roast and rice dressing, that no Thanksgiving is really valid without it in my world. And that's just because my aunts and my mother, that's what they cook so very well. The Domingues in our family, I will tell you, they do, pork roast and rice dressing is just one of those staples for me. My wife asked me what I want for Thanksgiving, and that would always be it. So people can get lots of different options, right?
They absolutely can. They can get so many. And while you're saying that about, different family members cooking different things, I think we all have those different memories of like, whose dish is whose. And
Right.
that's what I love about Thanksgiving. It's like my mom makes the peas and my Aunt Gail makes the rice dressing. And, it's like everybody has their certain dishes that they make. And so it's really fun. That's what was great about Thanksgiving. Now, one thing to keep in mind is after all the food is cooked, after everybody has eaten, a lot of times the dishes end up staying on the table like all day, the whole rest of the day. That's actually not the best practice. Think about this is you have to reheat it anyway whenever you're going to eat it at the next meal. So once those dishes have cooled down, it's a good practice to start putting them into some shallow pans to where they can cool down a little faster. And then also making sure that you do refrigerate those leftovers as soon as possible.
I love it. Here's how interesting it is. You just used a real life reference with Aunt Gail, right? And rice dressing. Do you know that my phone call on Monday was to Aunt Gail about rice dressing?
Oh, really?
My Aunt Gail and her rice dressing are coming to my house on Thanksgiving Day. That was per my request. That's how unique that is.
That's
and so
fun.
we talk about families and what's important about families and celebrating with family. We have two aunts, and both of their signature recipe is rice dressing.
Same thing.
That's just fantastic. Yeah. So as soon as my Aunt Gail leaves my house, I'll send her to your house. As soon as your Aunt Gail leaves your house, send her to my house. And we have the best of all of those worlds as those two worlds meet. And so it's just one of those things you mentioned about reheating. The best way to do that is keeping them nice and safe, shallow dishes, let them finish cooling, put them in the refrigerator, and being able to help do that for the next meal and reheating and just be able to do that. My buddy James, after he fries a turkey, he saves everything and he makes a huge turkey gumbo thereafter. You can only do that if you keep that.
There's actually a turkey gumbo recipe on the Rouse's website, so that's a good reference. Think about all of the delicious things, the way that you can recycle those leftovers and make them into something else. And also think about this too, is that if you pick up the food and cool it in a timely manner, you can also save it in smaller portions and freeze it. And then you can have some of those dishes for a longer period of time if you want. So another thing that I just saw this week, which I thought was a great idea, is those little muffin tin pans? It's a disposable muffin tin that has 6 little spots in it.
Right.
That it's a great idea if you get one of those and you could put different leftovers in each spot, then cover it up, and then you send that home with everybody. So they get a little bit of something that's left over. And so I thought that was a really fun way. And then you could put that in the oven and heat it.
Heat it. Thanksgiving for everyone, repurposed. April, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for joining us on this special Bayou time. We appreciate it very much. And a very happy Thanksgiving to you and to everybody and to Chris and the family and to Aunt Gail and her rice dressing.
Thank you so much.
All right.
And happy Thanksgiving to you too.
Thank you. All right, guys, that'll do it for this particular segment. But don't go anywhere. A lot more right here on HTV.
Today's social media segment is brought to you by Alford and Associates for all of your insurance needs. CIS, Cardiovascular Institute of the South, the highest quality cardiovascular care available. Barker Honda, the Barker family tradition of quality.